Hello, and welcome back to the Bright Light Wellness YouTube channel and the Bright Light Wellness and Healing with Homeopathy Substack. So, today I want to talk to you about something really, really personal. And I think it's really important for me to bring this up so people have the understanding of the depth of what healing really takes. Um, so, when I first got sick, it was all about the physical, right? It was all about healing the physical. I've got to feel, I was in a lot of pain, and I was like, okay, I really got to heal physical things, right? That was the goal, heal the physical. Okay. And I got to fix the gut, I've got to take the right supplements, I've got to get the perfect schedule, the perfect diet. It was all about that, right? And when I got really sick, I didn't believe in much greater than myself or much greater than just like you're here. I was quite atheist, really. Like I didn't believe in higher powers or I wasn't very spiritually aligned. Let's just say that. I didn't believe in anything else, right? I just believed that you were here and you live your life and then you die and that's it. Like there was nothing more to life. Um, so I didn't believe in any of that. So I was very logical, very atheist, very I don't know, I guess to say like in just living in the superficial world and not really like thinking about much else besides everyday tasks that you did. And I never really thought about there's a higher power than me. There's much more to life than just, you know, making money and being perfect and doing all the things, right? So I think that part of the reason why I got sick was to transcend that. And what I mean is like when you're just kind of like going through the motions, working every day, managing the kids, the husband, the job, all the things, and you're not like connected to your path in life, not connected like spiritually, not connected to nature, not connected to the universe, not connected to source, not connected to higher powers. The universe is like going to send you like a wake up call. And that's kind of like what happened. That is what happened to me. I was sent a wake up call and I got really, really sick and I was in a ton of pain. Um, and the thing is, when you get chronic illness, it doesn't just change the body, but it dismantles your whole identity. And I came hit with a point basically where I was so sick and in so much pain and never sleeping and trying to fix it physically. And I had thoughts of ending my life regularly and was so depressed I couldn't get up to go, get food for my children. I felt like I had two choices. I'm going to either give up and end my life, right? It was a really like a dark night of the soul. Like I'm going to give up and end my life, or I have to completely change my life. And of course, I didn't have like a moment where that happened. That took like over time. I realized that. And as I started to heal, I started to heal spiritually as well and believe in more than, you know, that believe in more than just myself, right? So, so I think there's a really important piece about healing that it's not just physical, it's also spiritual. And I say this so many times, like real true healing is not just reconnecting, it's reconnecting to yourself, right? And then of course reconnecting to source and greater power. So I see real true healing as okay, like the progression that I went through is like, okay, I reconnected to nature. That was really one of my first, that was the first real step I made in healing was reconnecting with nature. And then reconnecting with nature, what it did is it helped me reconnect with myself. Homeopathy helped me in this way hugely as well. And then reconnecting to self helped me reconnect with intuition. And then it was like, okay, now I'm reconnecting to source and spirituality. And that was kind of like the progression. And that took years. That was not like an overnight thing. This was a year's progression. Um, so again, I was hit, like I said, it was hit with either give up or make changes. And that wasn't like it just all of a sudden came out. Like it wasn't all of a sudden like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give up and make changes one day. It was just like this was a gradual thing, right? And I really did go through the dark night of the soul. Um, And when you're in that moment, I was in a year, at least a good strong year of the dark night of the soul. And I just felt like everything was falling apart. Okay. And of course, the first thing I wanted when I was trying to heal was to escape pain. Like that's what I wanted. But the pain and the suffering served a purpose. Without the darkness, there is no light. Okay. And there was a reason for me going through that pain was to help me transcend into something, into where I am now, into the person I am. It's a growth factor. Okay. And we don't always see the dark times as the growth. And if you're in a dark time and it's really hard and you're like, damn, I just want to get out of this, there is a light at the end of the tunnel and there is a purpose behind your suffering. And I really wholeheartedly believe that. And we have to then transmute that. We have to transcend it. Okay. We have to alchemize it. Okay. So it was at first for me, it was about escaping pain and I was trying to fix that physically. But over time, it became much, much deeper. It was, well, who am I really? Why is this happening to me? And what is this trying to teach me? What is the lesson here? What is the purpose? How do I grow, evolve, expand, become, transform, alchemize this, right? And I realized that healing was not about like just fixing the body functions or the physical body. It's about transforming the self, transforming the soul, and helping the soul grow through what it needs to grow through. So, and learn the lessons that it's meant to learn. So it began with the idea that there was something much greater than myself. Like I said, I was very atheist when I got sick. Like I was very much like, there's nothing more to life than just this physical life that we live. And now, I mean, I would never come out of my mouth. I feel so connected. I feel so connected to source, to a higher power, that there's something bigger than me. And that's what real true healing is to have this huge growth and development. And this is why it happened. This is the reason why I got sick, was because it was like, you can't keep going like this. You need to realize what's really going on in here, what's really happening. So I understand, I would say this happened in the last like 2 years or so. I began to open up to the idea that there's something greater, energy, consciousness, interconnectedness. Um, and like I'm not doing this alone, and that there's a greater power that has my back. There's a greater plan. That It's life is bigger than just me, right? And my soul is, I'm gonna get super spiritual now. I used to believe when you died, you just died. Now I believe, like, I've seen past lives. I know I've had past lives. Like I know, like personally believe, that's, you can believe what you want, that when you do pass on, yes, you may leave your physical meat suit behind, but your soul is going to continue to get another chance to keep learning what it needs to learn until it finally becomes enlightened, and it goes on to do whatever else is going to do when you become an enlightened soul. I don't know. But that's my beliefs, and you don't have to have the same beliefs as me, but that's what I've been feeling, right? Um, and I just, when I look at who I was, back in 2020, I was a shell of myself in so many ways. To not have belief that there's a universal power that has your back, like how sad. And now the person who's like, when something bad happens in my life, or something challenging, I should say, happens in my life, I'm like, what are we going to grow? How we as a family, or how am I going to grow from this experience? How am I going to expand? What is the lesson here? How is, and the trust and the belief that the universe has my back and that everything will be okay, right? That's a whole different mindset than what I used to have, of like everything's happening to me instead of everything is happening for me. I mean, those are two huge distinctions. This is happening to me versus this is happening for me. Um, and that not only it's happening for me, but something positive will come out of it, and that it's what's meant to be. Like, and it's okay. So yeah. Now in homeopathy, we there's different miasms, and I've spoken about miasms on this channel before, but they're just like these genetic predispositions to disease, or different like energetic patterns that we carry through. So the syphilitic miasm is very self-destructive, very breaking, it's a breakdown of systems. It's a lot of hopelessness, it's despair, and I have a genetic predisposition to the syphilitic miasm because of my lineage, and I won't share more than that. Just there's indications in my lineage that I have a very strong genetic predisposition to the syphilitic miasm. If somebody has suppressed syphilis in your history, in your past, in your like your parents or your grandparents, you will have a more stronger energy of the syphilitic miasm. So when someone's in a syphilitic miasm, which like I was totally in 2021, I was in the syphilitic miasm where everything was breaking down in my body. There was complete hopelessness, complete despair, very self-destructive behavior. Things are irreversible and suicidal thoughts, right? That's the ultimate self-destruction is you end your life, right? But there's another side of the syphilitic miasm that we don't really talk about, and that's the power of the syphilitic miasm. And it comes into our field, it comes into our energy field to help us transcend, to help us transform. It's literally death and rebirth. It's literally the dark night of the soul. It's literally you dying in a, your soul dying and then rebuilding from that. Um, it's the energy of hitting rock bottom where the person either collapses and they totally do give up, or that completely transcends who you were. And I understand the syphilitic miasm better than most because I lived it. I went through that. I went through the dark night of the soul. I went through the death and the rebirth. I am a completely different person than I used to be. Like if you met me in 2020 and you meet me now, you'd be like, huh? Like it's like I'm not even close to the same person. I may look similar. I've had other deaths and rebirths as well. I have pictures of me from, 2010. You wouldn't even recognize me. You wouldn't even know who that was because I was 60 pounds overweight. So I've had a lot of deaths and rebirths, and that has a lot to do with my Pluto in my chart, which I'll touch on in a minute. Um, but we have to understand that that same force that destroys is the same force that can transcend or transform or alchemize. It's all about alchemy. Syphilitic miasm is it is that cue, it's that wake up call to you have to alchemize this, you have to transcend it. Okay. Um, you have to turn that shame into integrity, right? We have to turn the grief into the gratitude. We have to turn these things around. Okay. Um, so it's a very interesting part, and I just want to share this with you because I view things very differently than I used to, and that's all because of what I grew through. Okay. And I have this bigger connection to the universe and source that wouldn't have been there if I didn't go through my own dark night of the soul, right? And turn my darkness into the light. Okay. My darkness led to the light. So, another thing in my astrology chart, which I just want to share, is that when I started learning astrology, it gave me the language to what I had lived through. So, I had Pluto on my ascending and Pluto conjunct my sun. And Pluto is all about death, rebirth, transformation. It's about the darkness, about taking the darkness, turning into the light. It's about taking the mask off. It's about alchemizing. Pluto is all about alchemizing. And since Pluto's on my ascendant, it has a lot to do with my identity and how I meet, like how I show up in the world. And it's conjunct my sun, which is my core self, which is in Scorpio. So my life was never going to be surface level. And my life is one big, never-ending transformation because Pluto has moved through every single one of my signs in astrology, and it will move through my last sign, which is the last sign it will move through in my life is happening now, which is my moon sign, my moon in Aquarius, which is all about emotional healing. Um, so it was always going to ask me to go to depths, my life. Like it was never going to be surface level. I mean, Scorpio alone is not surface level. It's deep emotional connection, right? Just being having I have 5 planets in Scorpio. Well, 4 planets and my south node in Scorpio. So it was always going to be about deep depth, deep depth things in my life emotionally. And it's going to ask me to go to the depths and come back and change because Pluto has gone through every single one of those planets and it's been alchemizing me and transforming me throughout my entire life, basically. So some people learn through ease and some of us learn through transformation. I am definitely the type of person who learns from transformation. So I don't see healing as getting back to like people would like I used to feel this way though. I used to feel like, oh, I need to get back to the person who I used to be. No, that person is dead. That person is gone and she can never be back because and that's hard. It was so hard for the people in my life to understand because it was a literally death and rebirth. I can never go back to being the person that I was because that person is not really here. She's here, but she's totally transcended and different, and she can't. I can't like it, just my values and the who I was could never be that again. I've just my life has been forever changed, right? Through my health crisis, through my dark night of the soul. So I don't see it as getting back to who I was. Right? That was the goal when I first got sick. I was like, I just want to get back to my regular, like back to my old life, right? But that old life could never be again because that syphilitic miasm became active to help me transcend and to change, right? So it could never be. It's gone. Okay. Um, it's becoming entirely new. Of course, there's essences of me who come back, right? Who came with me, of course, but there's essences of me or parts of me that completely died and will never return. Um, so the physical symptoms were just the doorway, not the destination. It wasn't really about healing the physical. That's my point. It was about healing the spiritual, the soul. It's about soul healing and it's deep work and that of course didn't happen overnight. I've been doing this, since 2021. Like I've been healing myself and I'm doing it every day. Like I'm still transcending every single day. It's not over. It continues. It's a progression. That's life. That's living, right? Um, so if you're in a place where your body's breaking down, it might not just be that your body's asking for attention. It might be that life, your identity, the way of being is asking to evolve, to grow, to change. And maybe we don't see it as like such a bad thing. We see it as try to like when I was in the dark times, like if somebody had said that to me, I'd be like, I probably wouldn't have been able to hear it as well as I can now because I'm in a better place. But and your life is asking you to make changes and to evolve. And I always say this, the first step of reconnecting, healing is about connecting with self. And the first step to reconnecting with self is to reconnect with nature. Then you'll start to reconnect with yourself. You'll start to connect with your intuition. You'll start to connect with higher source power. You'll start to connect with the universe again. And you'll start to be like, oh, there's something greater than just me and my suffering in the world, right? Like it's not just about that. Um, so yeah, healing is certainly not just physical. It's emotional, it's energetic, and it's deeply freaking spiritual. Real healing is so deep, profoundly spiritual. And I had to let go of, I had to do so much unlearning and relearning and letting go of different paradigms. They all had to collapse. It was like buildings collapsing around me. That's how I felt when I was really in it. It was like, oh, the medical system who always helped me can't help me. Crumble. That system is not my safety parent anymore, right? Like, oh, the education system that I work in is really like not serving me. Crumble, 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 right? I have to relearn all of these things. It felt like buildings collapsing around me, like when those paradigms were all shifting within me. Um, and there was many more. But it's very deeply spiritual, real healing. And it's not about physical, and usually the soul is asking for more. So the darkest moments are actually the beginning of becoming who you're meant to be. So if you're in a dark time, just know I hear you, I see you, I've been there, and that dark time, you can transcend it. You can transcend it into the light. Okay. And if you need help, I'm here to support you. That's what I do. I use homeopathics, flower essences, tissue salts, which work more on the physical layer, but the flower essences and homeopathics, especially flower essences, they work on some deeper spiritual things, really spiritual. Um, and of course, I use quantum biology and or circadian quantum biology practices, lifestyle practices and principles. I do rhythmic movements. I do so many different things. I keep, and now I'm bringing in astrology. So I bring in lots of different tools in my toolkit. I think a good practitioner has many tools in the toolkit to find the access or the way to best support you. Um, but if you're in a dark time, just know, like, think of me and think of my case. And when I tell you that I wanted to end my life every day for a year, that things can change and they can get better. Um, you just have to let go of trying to be the person that you used to be, like trying to get back to being the person that you were. Okay, because that person, you just can't do it anymore because the reason why you got sick was the person that the reality that you were creating, the person that you were wasn't right. It was you weren't in alignment, and or you're not in alignment in many ways, and you need to become anew. We need to rebuild you, become anew again. So you have to let go of that person who existed in the past and know that you can't go back to that person. And what is this teaching me? What do I really need to move towards? What how who am I supposed to be? Okay. That's what you have to start asking yourself the deep work. So I hope this resonated with you. Maybe share in the comments if you've been through your own dark night of the soul experience. Maybe share in the comments if you can relate. Um, maybe share in the comments like if you've had a similar experience where you've really had to let go of who you used to be and really transform and transcend. I'd love to hear it. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, all the things. And if you're ready to work with me, I am taking new clients, especially if you're really struggling, and I do work with people physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It's all one. Okay. And if your flower essences is I think a huge part of this. All right. Have a wonderful day, and I will chat with you guys on the next video.